Hello, and welcome to Walk the Talk. I'm Salley Gibney. My guest today is Kathy Duckworth. Kathy is known for many things in our community, but especially for her youth ministry. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here.
It's so great to be here.
Oh, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just, as I was driving over here today, realized that it's been 29 years that I've been working with teenagers, if I don't count my student teaching.
Wow.
You know, that's a long time.
Isn't that amazing how it creeps up on us?
I know, all of a sudden, how could it possibly be true? But when I first moved here, I was 24 and I had my first teaching job filling in for someone on medical leave at Burton and in the art. And I started then, and one thing led to another. I was part-time doing classes for the Southern Vermont Arts Center, and those kids were meeting at that time because there wasn't available space at the First Congregational Church in Manchester. And this minister, who was serving then as senior pastor, kept watching this Pied Piper come and go with all these children all the time.
And that was you with all of these children.
That was me with all these kids. And you know, now it's a pleasure now because some of those kids are old enough that they have children, and I know their children.
Oh, wow.
It's, you know,
Isn't that amazing?
Wonderful life.
Now, how did you actually get into the ministry?
Well, because of Dick Ringwald. I was active in that church. I was probably one of the few young people in that church at the time. There were very few of us. And Dick recognized that, hey, he needed a youth minister, and not even a youth minister so much as a youth person, someone who could connect with the youth and meet with them on a regular basis.
And getting them involved in the church and wanting to come back, I'm sure.
Engaging them in the life of the church. And somehow he, had this vision, but he didn't know quite how to make it happen. And so he asked me if I'd be interested, and I thought, I don't know anything about the Bible. And I remember saying that out loud to him, and he said, we can teach you that. The rest of it, you will know, you just intuitively know, Kathy, just go for it.
Oh, isn't that neat?
So I started out 10 hours a week, and that grew from 20 to full-time there. Wow. And then in 1998, the Vermont Conference of the United Church of Christ called me to be the Youth and Outdoor Ministries person for our state conference.
Oh, wow.
And so by then, I had a lot of experiences on a local level with youth groups, and I literally, at the very beginning, I thought, how am I going to get kids to come to a youth group when they don't even come to church? I mean, we didn't have kids in the church. And I literally started going to their basketball games, to the theater, to all kinds of places where the students were, and I may have known like one or two teenagers, and they introduced me to their friends.
And that's how you became a familiar face, so they knew who you were.
All it started, and it was really the kids. I was looking to help the kids on the edge, the ones that were high risk, not so much the kids who were doing fabulously in school and doing 19,000 other things, but the ones who really didn't have a place to go and be a safe place to go, where they could talk about teen issues, where they could feel safe with one another, so that in confidentiality would be huge. I remember that so many times when kids would come to me that I didn't even know, and say, aren't you Kathy? And don't you work at the First Congregational Church? And gee, this is what's going on in my life. Can you help me? And it grew from that into kids who intentionally started coming to youth group instead of being just, curiously flopping in on a youth group and then finding out that I wasn't trying to teach them particularly any religion. That wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to provide them this space to be whoever they needed to be. And then neat. With other teenagers.
But then you also brought them into the church with that as well.
Right, and then I got a group of kids that were really interested in singing and music, and we started a band, and we did a lot of performing at the church and other places, and it's been all different kinds of things. It's been theater in the church, and because that's my love. I was an art major, and I'm very involved in all the fine arts. And so I figured there had to be a connection there that would work with them. And so as things just happened.
They kind of evolved. Now, how did you feel getting on the state level? I mean, that took you out of Manchester, out of your comfort zone, and brought you to another area. So you were throughout the state of Vermont?
Right. By the time I went to work for the conference, I had done several good-sized mission trips. I had taken a group of teenagers and adults to Tijuana, Mexico to build homes, and that gave me the courage that I wanted the opportunity to, wow, are there other kids in the state who would like this opportunity to travel and to work in mission opportunities, but don't have a clue how to do that? So I kept putting out opportunities for mission trips for teenagers for the conference, and we went all over the place.
You've gone like to many inner cities. You've gone to Boston. You've gone to Washington D.C. You've gone all over with youth.
We've worked for homeless shelters. We've worked for the for the Boston Seafarers, which is a group on the Port of Boston, and we've done all kinds of things, just all over the place. And what it has always been is not leading these kids. I never wanted to be thought of. I wanted to work together, side by side, you know, and to do what they were doing. I never went with them to a mission and said, okay, this needs to be done, now you go and do it.
You were right there with them and
let's do
working
this
with them.
together and figure this out together.
So it was a team effort. It was something that you were doing together, and that's why it was so effective.
Well, and there were other adults too that really supported my efforts, who came along with me on trips. It wasn't, you know, I never did all this by myself. I could never have done it. It needs to be done in community. I think for me, that's what God has called us to be, is in community with one another and helping one another instead of us trying to figure out how to fix everything ourselves. It just, it doesn't work that way.
And when you do reach out like that, isn't it amazing how it does come together?
Well, you know, for the kids that I've worked with, to read their journals. I always give the kids journals when we go on these things, and then they end up signing each other's journals and writing about what they do every day. But then they always sign mine at the end, and I have a collection of these journals that I've collected over the years and I look at the amazing ways that their lives have been touched by things I didn't even realize would be so effective.
Which is absolutely amazing. And I know I had the honor actually to join with you at Camp Agape this summer, and that's the camp for children with parents in prison, and that was an amazing experience. And
here's the part, this is a whole other population of children that I was clueless about, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that. Here there's so many kids in this state that have parents that are in prison.
I know, and you know, that's huge. That's huge. And you know, we could go on and on and on.
And I think the foster kids.
Yes.
There are so many children that need our help.
And I think that we'll just have to continue this another time, because there's so many areas out there where each of us could get involved and make a difference and walk the talk. Kathy, I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed having you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for
coming.
inviting me.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.